And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight, and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into four heads. Greetings, salut, hola, and lafia. Welcome to Biblio-Apologetics, a hub for seeing biblical truth in history, geography, anthropology, and logic. In this video, we will discuss how the Garden of Eden is more than a myth. There is a consensus among scientists that the first human settlements were in Africa or the Middle East, places that are either the location of the Garden of Eden or its vicinity. This fact is corroborated by archaeological and historical evidence. The Sumerian civilization is the oldest civilization on Earth. Abraham the patriarch came from Ur, which happened to be in Sumer, the same place Sargon of Akkad is from. Apart from the Sumerian civilization, Egypt, Nubia, Assyria, Babylon, and Persia, among others, are all located in this part of the globe. Science and the Bible agree to the location where humans originated. Rivers such as the Euphrates, Nile, and Tigris, where the oldest human civilization developed, are mentioned in the Garden of Eden. Though man has largely lost the knowledge of the intimate relationship he once had with his Creator as a result of rebellion, there were remnants of this knowledge in various societies during antiquity. For example, Dilmun in the Sumerian legend of Enki and in Hurzag, and the Garden of Hesperides in Greek mythology. These stories, though distorted and mostly part of paganism, nonetheless reflect the once existing garden called Eden, where man and God walked side by side, conversed face to face, and had a much better relationship. Although there is a disagreement about the origin of the universe and life, civilization as we know it is only about 6,000 years old. This fact, coupled with the fact that the oldest civilization, the Sumerian civilization, was located around the same location as the Garden of Eden, show that the biblical account of the origin of man in that part of the world has merits. We do know that human civilization and migration started around the same region where there once was the Garden of Eden. Therefore, there is more to it than a mythical place. Another evidence for the Garden of Eden lies in the fact that you and I have the knowledge of good and evil today. In the biblical account concerning the Garden of Eden, the first inhabitants of planet Earth, Adam and Eve, were innocent. The reason they sinned is because they chose to eat of the forbidden fruit in the garden in defiance to God's command. God warned them that if they consume of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, their natural tendency would be inclined to doing evil. Perhaps the most convincing evidence for the Garden of Eden resides in each and every one of us today, as we have free will and often choose to do that which is immoral and against God's commands, just like He predicted. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video. If you enjoy this video, please help this channel by liking and subscribing. And as always, remember, Jesus Christ is the only way to heaven.